the scale of a thunderstorm itself, you can create those own conditions to allow a tornado to form with not a whole lot there to look at.
This is why we always say, can't rule out that isolated tornado.
I know.
That's exactly it. Can't rule it out.
We also had some big hail in West Texas, too, yesterday here, and that's not the...
Watching how things are playing out. There's sort of the main area of storms that has kind of worked its way across the southeastern part of the state there. Houston, you've seen the storms move on through. Now, it's still raining, and you're still dealing with some lightning and some moderate rainfall there. But the strongest of the storms has worked its way just offshore of Galveston, the Freeport area. Northern extent, though, of what we've been talking about, this backward C-shaped region, still impacting us, though, across East Texas, trying to get closer and closer to Beaumont and Port Arthur.
Yeah. It's been a very wet year to date, actually, in Beaumont. I think we're top 2 or top 3 wettest. So now we're going to bring in more rain. We're going to bring in that risk of some stronger winds and also, of course, the lightning. Galveston winds gusted, what did I check? Mid-40s. 40s at the airport. But Palacios, Texas, coming in with over 70. So there have been some stronger winds. New threat, heavy rain.
Exactly. So the main line with the big storms and the heaviest of the rains, see that as that pushed on through. But now we're still dealing with some steady rains. And in Galveston, observed flooding now. We got a flash flood warning until 10:45.
Yeah, this has been pretty progressive so far, but it seems like the whole complex is slowing down a bit. So if it just sits here and rains for the next several hours, that may cause more problems. Got another flash flood warning in Montgomery County, in parts of Walker County, too, including around Montgomery, where we've had some heavy rain across this area.
Yeah, just north of Houston there, west of Interstate 45. And then working our way back to the south and the west, again, still in Texas now, just north of San Antonio. You've got that storm there in Comal as well as Kendall counties, including Canyon Lake until 9:45. I've been looking at some hail with that storm. You can clearly see the hail core associated with that.
So even behind the main line, you're not necessarily done yet. Be ready for some warnings in case they come your way. All right, so this was anticipated. Houston, we were on a ground stop. Didn't affect everyone. So there was an end in sight. Now we're on a ground delay program that goes for most of the day. We'll see how this helps them recover. Most flights are going to be about an hour and 8 minutes delayed on arrival into Houston.
Oof, no fun on a getaway Friday at that when you're trying to get to your destinations here. Well, of course, we got the storms still ongoing for us right now.
He picked up close to 2 inches of rain yesterday with some thunderstorms. That could happen again today. Showers are out there, and we'll especially see that through the afternoon. Saturday could feature thunderstorms here coming into multiple chances, multiple rounds. All of those could have heavy rain potential. And then Sunday, still a chance of some hit or miss thunderstorms. I was looking at your stats. New Orleans, you went 8 days without rain at the airport. That was a pretty long stretch here for this time of year, but now we're in it, right? You know, every day we end up getting into that, well, there's a chance of afternoon showers, especially with the pattern that is shaping up for us here getting in through the weekend. Right now, thunderstorms in Texas, a couple into Mississippi. For now, for the rest of our southeastern states, like into Alabama, Tennessee, and Georgia, we've been protected by this high pressure, which is actually just a little further west at the moment, but it's going to nudge east. And as that happens, we're going to see the winds come out of the south. The moisture starts to return. You lose those low dew points and that almost fall-like air that you've been feeling. And then when disturbances come in, we get the chance of rain, and that's going to come in just in time for the weekend. What a beautiful week you had in Nashville and in Memphis and in Huntsville. But now we're going to be looking at the chance of showers for your Saturday. We'll see that across western and middle Tennessee. To the south, a better chance of getting maybe some stronger storms. And as we look into Sunday, some rain chances come back into parts of Georgia. At the very least, there'll be more clouds here. No more of those perfectly clear skies. And for North Carolina, Asheville and Charlotte, I think Saturday, a great day. But Sunday, we get back into the rain and the clouds. Alex.
Well, you know,
Mother Nature does not know what the day on the calendar is in terms of the ingredients in the atmosphere.
Especially with those water temperatures here. Mother Nature's running in August levels in some cases with the water temperatures. Paul, thank you. We're going to be back in with Paul coming up. But with tomorrow being the official start of hurricane season, today we're passing the torch of...
We've seen it come in the morning, at night, in the afternoon. It's just been all kind of around the clock having to deal with these clusters of storms. And here's another one that we followed across Texas that continues to work its way now. The kind of northern extent of this whole line of storms is pushing through East Texas. It blasted through Houston, and even once the heaviest of the rain and some of the strongest of the winds have moved through, we're still finding some steady rains.
Yeah. You know, luckily, it looks like there's less lightning in the storms that are heading over towards Beaumont and Port Arthur, so you're probably at least not encountering the worst of the winds compared to what everyone else had. But there's still lightning out there. You can see some of those big bolts coming up, some of of the most recent strikes that we've had. And there's still heavy rain even behind the leading edge of very heavy rain and strong winds.
And that's prompted a flash flood warning here for us in Galveston County. This does include Santa Fe, Texas City until 10:45. Some of the local law enforcement officers reporting some of that flooding. So it's been observed in those spots. And another warning here, this is north of Houston and just west of 45, Montgomery County, as well as a bit of Walker County until 10:15. That's another spot that's seen a few inches of rain, and we're still finding rain coming through that area.
And we still have this severe thunderstorm warning that we're tracking for you around Comal County. Canyon Lake is in that. This hasn't been moving very much, and we still have it sitting there, bringing the threat for some strong winds as well as hail, probably a bigger threat with that.
All right, so we'll keep an eye on this area. That'll push through East Texas, eventually maybe even Louisiana getting involved in some of these thunderstorms. Dr. Postel, you're looking at who else is going to have to watch the skies closely today.
I think opening, Dollywood has tripled in size, adding new expansions like a water park and a resort.
Ooh, well, here to tell us all about what makes Dollywood the best thing about Tennessee.
Well, I think it's right there in the name. Dolly Parton is probably the first thing that makes Dollywood so special.
Sort of meshed together. That's really what helped bubble us up to be best in state. So what are some of the must-see and unique attractions that people shouldn't miss out on when visiting the park itself?
Well, I think
I'm not an amusement park person, but it does sound like there's something for me there. I would love the Dolly exhibit and, of course, the live shows. So
yes.
I think you are spot on.
So, okay, you mentioned the Dolly Parton experience there. Is there anything else new opening at the park this year or maybe as we look towards future years?
Well, that's the great thing about Dolly is she's always dreaming.
A dying question we have is, how did Dolly get associated with the amusement park?
Well, she wanted to look at an opportunity where she could experience the Smoky Mountains, but she also wanted to be able to give jobs to the people who live here. So in her mind, she knew that a lot of folks were coming in to visit.
I'm excited. I'm putting it on the list, that's for sure. Now, Dollywood may be the best thing about Tennessee, but are there any other spots in the state that maybe deserve an honorable mention?
Well, Tennessee is a great state, and
the public relations director for the Dollywood Company. Thank you so much for joining us. Really enjoyed this conversation, and pretty psyched. It's going to be on my list too, Alex.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, who better to represent something fun? And Dolly Parton, I think we can all say it's just
yes,
fun.
Yes, she is.
Join us every Friday all year long. We're going to highlight the top spots in all 50 states.
Use the hats. We don't want people to go cone crazy, which it happens here. So always striving for that enhanced communication. Paul, thank you for sharing all of that today. It's been really interesting there for the National Hurricane Center. Tomorrow is June 1st, the start of the hurricane season. We want to take you to the beach. There's nothing threatening things here. The inland threat, tornadoes are a threat with lane falling hurricanes. Tropical storms have their own dangers too. Don't just worry about hurricanes. Tropical storms have their own concerns. So always be prepared, pay attention to the forecast and in your neighborhood.
Well, the channel has you, of course, covered from coast to coast, but forget the coast to coast for a second. Look at what happened in Texas again yesterday behind us. This is a tornado kind of hiding behind some rain.
Yeah,
scary.
I mean, that is scary. You go from the lighter skies, you pan towards the left, and it's extremely dark. You don't know what's going on back there at all.
I mean, really, at first glance, it's dark over there. Okay, there's rain. No, there's a tornado. And some strong straight line winds, too. This particular supercell had a lot with it.
I remember seeing, I think it was the National Weather Service office, was it Midland maybe?
Midland, yeah.
That they talked about the RFD went through. In other words, that's the hook part of the reflectivity, the signature that we see with driving hail, winds of 70 miles per hour, zero visibility. Driving hail, winds of 70 miles per hour, zero visibility. Aside from tornadoes, thunderstorms like this produce a lot of bad weather and dangerous weather, too.
Yeah, they really can, unfortunately, bring all of it. You mentioned hail. Hail could be an issue again today, kind of like this.
Morning here for us in southeastern Texas. Still dealing with some pretty decent range. You can see stretching here from the eastern part of the state and then right along the coast. A lot of lightning. Bulk of that now pushing there in the waters of the Gulf.
I noticed it was arcing back up. We're going to have to keep an eye on that outflow boundary in South Texas. Yes, like the other day. Remember that outflow, that big outflow that went to West Texas?
Epic outflow boundary, yeah.
Texas, why do you have to have these big outflows?
Oof, my goodness. Showers and storms right now. It looks like no severe warnings. That's good news, but we certainly have the rain that's coming down, and that's led to some flash flood warnings. One of those includes us here in Texas City until 10:45.
I just looked up the rainfall totals through this area. This is 4 and 5 inches of rain right in this zone, right along Route 6 there near the bayou. Some of the reports came in, radar estimates showing us that here 3 to 5 inches. So very easily that can cause some flooding because it came down so fast.
And it's still raining, so that's not going to help matters at all. The intensity is a bit down, but still, you don't want any more rain in those areas. Then we move our way on into a bit of Louisiana. You can see some showers and a few storms kind of populating the landscape there around Lake Charles. The heaviest rain getting ready to cross state lines and push into Louisiana, coming in out of Jasper.
Yeah, so we'll keep an eye on things for you out here today. Again, San Antonio, north of town, we've had some thunderstorms recently. Those have finally quieted down a little bit, but we'll watch for, maybe a few more. The day is still early. Houston, of course, all the weather here has created a lot of issues. Ground delay program now running over an hour, almost an hour, 20 minutes.
That's a tough morning for us there. A couple of the reports that have been coming in from the storms that moved through. I mean, look at some of the winds. Over 60 there for you in the Avant area. Woodway, 64-mile-per-hour winds. Tree limbs coming down and power lines broken. It was a really early morning of nasty storms.
Yes, and thunderstorms here today will be firing up here. We'll have to watch, again, West Texas. Greg, it's dry line season.
It is dry line.
Into parts of the southeast, Atlanta, Knoxville, Nashville. You've had beautiful weather. New Orleans. Now, we've had some rain. Yesterday, we picked up nearly 2 inches of rain, and so we're going to still get it. That pattern continues for us today, tomorrow, and into Sunday. Still the hit-or-miss storms. We had a good stretch. We had about 8 days with no rain in New Orleans here, but now we're in it, and that's not changing. Showers with us into Arkansas. We really haven't had a break much at all this month. And indeed, today we'll have again the chance of rain. But what's going to happen as we get into the weekend is that this high pressure, which has been giving you the almost fall-like weather that you've had all week in Louisville and Nashville and Asheville, all the Villes, that's going to slide east, and that's going to allow the moisture to come back. And so now we bring in some rain chances thanks to disturbances rolling on through. Memphis, Nashville, you're no longer going to have dew points near 50 out there. It's going to be a lot different feeling out there, a little more humid. That brings some shower chances to Atlanta on Sunday and moving over to Charlotte as we get through the day on Sunday as well. Alex, here, rainfall could be adding up heavy at times, actually starting tomorrow, watching back to Mississippi, Alabama, all the way up to Kentucky, where we've had such an amazing week.
It really has been beautiful.
Year, and like we are here at the Weather Channel, that's why we're here down in Miami. It's nice to be here, by the way, without having a storm impending. My last couple of times here was because of a storm.
Yeah, so true, Paul. I bet it's hot and humid, though, down there.
Yes.
One word answer, yes, indeed. All right, Paul, we'll be, of course, checking back in with him here, learning more about getting started for the hurricane season. Today's question of the day, we're asking you for opening. Dollywood has tripled in size, adding new expansions like a water park and a resort.
Ooh, well, here to tell us all about what makes Dollywood the best thing about Tennessee.
Well, I think it's right there in the name. Dolly Parton is probably the first thing that makes Dollywood so special.
All sort of meshed together. That's really what helped bubble us up to be best in state. So what are some of the must-see and unique attractions that people shouldn't miss out on when visiting the park itself?
Well, I think
interesting. I'm not an amusement park person, but it does sound like there's something for me there. I would love the Dolly exhibit and, of course, the live shows. So yes. I think you are spot on.
So, okay, you mentioned the Dolly Parton experience there. Is there anything else new opening at the park this year or maybe as we look towards future years?
Well, that's the great thing about Dolly is she's always...
A dying question we have is, how did Dolly get associated with the amusement park?
Well, she wanted to look at an opportunity where she...
I'm excited. I'm putting it on the list, that's for sure. Now, Dollywood may be the best thing about Tennessee, but are there any other spots in the state that maybe deserve an honorable mention?
Well, Tennessee is a great state. And
Ramey, Public Relations Director for the Dollywood Company, thank you so much for joining us. Really enjoyed this conversation and pretty psyched. It's going to be on my list too, Alex.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, who better to represent something fun? And Dolly Parton, I think we can all say it's just fun.
Yes,
right?
yes, she is.
Join us every Friday all year long. We're going to highlight the top spots in all 50 states.
Use that.
Yeah. Well, and exactly, if you have more and more storms, your chances start to go up about being impacted by those storms. So a busy season ahead, no doubt. Paul, thanks so much there at the National Hurricane Center. We're going to be here with folks throughout the entire season, of course, giving you all the information you need to know to be as safe as possible.
It's really cool to see the National Hurricane Center, too. It's like the epicenter of it all, right? Let's go down to the beaches, though, and show you what's... Yeah, on Long Island, no doubt you're ready for all kinds of weather there, too.
Oh, they do.
They get the winter storms that can knock out power. And
oh, my goodness. Yeah,
honestly, this preparation is useful year-round.
And they know they have the great advice, right?
From coast to coast. But in the interior, we also were watching yesterday some dangerous storms right behind us.
This is so ominous.
What do you see there? Can you tell what's going on?
There's a tornado that's hiding back in there, like behind my head. Here, let me get out of the way.
I mean, you can see it because it's darker, but you really got to look at it. At first glance, it looks like really dark sky until you zoom in and you see what's happening. You got a massive tornado. What's going on across parts of the South? We're going to bring some new cities into the mix, and some of you who have been getting a couple of days of downpours stay in it as well. So first up, one of the oldies but goodies, New Orleans. You've been getting a few thunderstorms yesterday, just picked up 2 inches of rainfall, nearly. And you'll do that potentially again today. Saturday, we've got chances for storms pretty much throughout the entire day, and then hit or miss storms possible on Sunday. You notice temperatures go up a little bit more because it'll be much more scattered, and there'll be some breaks in that sun to come out and get it all hot and steamy down there in New Orleans. Now, with the cluster of storms that we're tracking right now, this is moving through Beaumont, Port Arthur. Right now, your winds are gusting about 20, 25 miles per hour. Lake Charles about to get into a little more rain because of that, and eventually Lafayette, we will see that come into your direction. We'll see if that actually holds all the way to New Orleans. You know, what I'm watching for, though, is for some new scattered showers that have been popping here across the middle of Mississippi. There have been 1 or 2 lightning strikes. Haven't seen much more than that here, but later on this afternoon, we may see some additional activity. In fact, that one little shower just popped in southwestern Mississippi. There could be more where that came from today. The moisture's there, and then the moisture moves as we get into the weekend. We've had such a gorgeous week in Atlanta and Chattanooga and Charlotte and Raleigh, thanks to this high pressure. Louisville, you guys have been enjoying it as well, but as this high pressure shifts to the east, it allows the moisture to come back up, so dew points are going to come back up. It's not going to feel like fall out there anymore. You're going to see more clouds in the sky. We're going to see some disturbances able to roll on through, and that will bring us the chance for some rain showers as we get into your weekend. Starts on Saturday, tomorrow across West Tennessee, Middle Tennessee, up to Kentucky. In the deep south is where we'll have enough instability to possibly get some severe weather. We'll have to watch for that. I think, you know, it's an isolated in terms of severe, but some stronger storms are a possibility, and all have some lightning risks, which is always a chance when you have outdoor plans. Still some graduation parties happening out there, I'm sure, this weekend. So watching your Sunday forecast into western North Carolina and South Carolina. Alex.
Well, one day.
But it ramps up quickly, so good to prepare now. Paul, thank you for that and for that interview. Now, with tomorrow being the official start of hurricane season, what really good advice? Good to think about. What would you do if you lose power?
Right.
Not just for a couple hours.
Right, that's the thing. These things, I was reading someone's comment who said they were in, I forget what storm it was, but they were out of power for 5 weeks.
5 weeks.
5 weeks.
So,
Whoa.
I mean, these are the types of lengths of power outages that can happen with these systems.
Yeah. So it's good just to think about it right now. That's really what the planning is. Review your insurance, and knowing that threats can happen well inland too, away from the coast.